but I bet you didn't know how much simpler life used to be. We all find ourselves yearning for the past at times. Those days seem bathed in a golden glow, a time when life felt simpler and more genuine. Did you know that in the 1950s, children spent an average of 4 hours a day playing outside? Remember when the biggest worry was who got the last piece of cake? Our memories often paint the past with vibrant colors, highlighting the joys and downplaying the hardships. Like that time Grandpa tried to fix the TV with a hammer. Fun fact, early televisions were so heavy that they often required 2 people to move them. Yet there's an undeniable charm to those bygone days despite their challenges. Who could forget the fashion choices? Bell-bottoms, anyone? Did you know bell-bottoms were originally worn by sailors in the 19th century before becoming a fashion trend in the 1970s? It was a time marked by a slower pace, fostering deeper reflection and genuine connections. And let's not forget the epic board game battles that lasted for hours. Monopoly, for instance, was invented in 1935 and has been a family favorite ever since. Are you yearning for a simpler, more connected life? Life in the past was a symphony of natural rhythms. People rose with the sun, their days orchestrated by the gentle light of dawn rather than the jarring sound of alarm clocks. Did you know that the term "up with the lark" comes from the European skylark, known for its early morning song? The first rays of sunlight would softly awaken them, a serene and peaceful start to the day. The rooster's crow, or the early morning birdsong, signaled the beginning of a new chapter. This routine brought a profound sense of tranquility, a deep connection to the natural world that is often lost in our modern, hurried lives. The morning air was crisp and invigorating, filled with the promise of new adventures. And, let's be honest, there was always that one rooster who thought 3 a.m. was a perfectly reasonable time to start the day. Work was a testament to human endurance and integrity. Men and women engaged in labor that demanded both strength and resilience. Whether tilling the fields, harvesting crops, or working in factories, there was a profound sense of pride in their efforts. Did you know that during the Industrial Revolution, factory shifts often started as early as 5 a.m.? Their hands bore the marks of hard work. Their muscles were strong and their spirits unyielding. The labor was grueling, yet deeply fulfilling. It provided for their families and strengthened the community. Each day's end brought a tangible sense of accomplishment, knowing their hard work had made a meaningful impact. And let's not forget the occasional accidental nap in the haystack. Farmers nurtured their fields, shopkeepers opened their doors, and children walked to school with purpose. Every individual had a vital role, and each role was cherished. The farmer's toil was the lifeblood of the community, providing sustenance for all. Shopkeepers offered essential goods and services, creating vibrant marketplaces where people gathered and connected. Did you know that in the 19th century, children often walked several miles to school each day? Children, the future of the community, approached their education with eagerness, understanding its value. Learning was a privilege, embraced with enthusiasm and hope. And let's be real, kids back then probably had their own version of "I forgot my homework" excuses. Daily chores were more than tasks. They were acts of purpose and unity. Household responsibilities were shared, instilling a sense of duty and cooperation. Cooking was an art, meals crafted from scratch with fresh, local ingredients. Did you know that before refrigeration, families had to preserve food through methods like salting, smoking, and canning? Families worked together, each member contributing to the household's harmony. This collaboration fostered a sense of unity and teamwork, creating a warm and comforting home. The home was a sanctuary, a place of refuge and togetherness. And let's not forget the occasional sibling squabble over who had to do the dishes. Evenings were a time to unwind and connect. Families gathered around the radio, listening to music or stories that brought the world into their living rooms. The radio was a source of entertainment and information, a bridge to the wider world. Did you know that the first commercial radio station, KDKA, began broadcasting in 1920? It was a time to relax, share stories, and laugh together. The day's work was done, and now it was time to enjoy each other's company. The simple pleasure of a favorite program or a beloved song brought joy and contentment, creating cherished memories. And let's not forget the occasional technical difficulties that led to some creative storytelling. Children engaged in activities that sparked their imaginations and fostered creativity. Board games taught strategy and teamwork, while books opened up new worlds. Did you know that Monopoly was first published in 1935 and has since sold over 275 million copies? The soft glow of lamplight created a cozy atmosphere, perfect for quiet evenings spent with loved ones. These moments were opportunities for learning, dreaming, and exploring. The simple joys of these activities brought a sense of wonder and fulfillment, nurturing curiosity and growth. And let's be honest, there was always that one game of Monopoly that never ended. Life followed a comforting rhythm, a predictable pattern that provided stability and security. Daily routines and rituals created a framework for thriving. There was a sense of order and purpose, a feeling that everything was as it should be. Did you know that the average person in the 19th century slept about 9 hours a night compared to the 6-7 hours we get today? This predictability allowed people to focus on what truly mattered: family, community, and the simple joys of everyday life. It was a time of simplicity and contentment where life was lived with intention and meaning. And let's not forget the occasional "oops, I forgot to milk the cow" moment. Did you know that close-knit communities were once the norm? Back in the day, everyone knew their neighbors, whether you liked it or not. Fun fact: in some towns, it was customary to bake extra bread for your neighbors. They leaned on each other for support, and sometimes for a cup of sugar they never returned. Did you know that borrowing sugar was a common way to start a conversation? Front porches transformed into stages for gossip and news, shared over refreshing lemonade on sweltering days. And let's not forget the occasional nosy neighbor peeking through the curtains. Interestingly, lemonade stands were often a community effort. Children roamed the streets playing hopscotch and tag, unsupervised yet safe. They'd come home only when the streetlights flickered on. Did you know that streetlights were often manually lit by a lamplighter? Local events like church socials and town fairs were the highlights of the year. And who could forget the pie-eating contests? Fun fact: pie-eating contests date back to the early 1900s. These gatherings nurtured a profound sense of belonging and shared identity, along with some friendly competition over who made the best potato salad. Did you know that potato salad recipes were often closely guarded family secrets? It was an era when people instinctively looked out for one another, offering a helping hand without hesitation and sometimes a bit of unsolicited advice. Interestingly, some communities even had designated advice givers. Everybody's looking for the secret to happiness, but it's simpler than you think. Entertainment was a homemade delight, often with hilarious results. Did you know that building forts can boost a child's creativity and problem-solving skills? Children crafted forts in the woods, sometimes collapsing in fits of laughter. Stickball, a precursor to modern baseball, was a favorite pastime. They played stickball in the bustling streets, dodging the occasional grumpy neighbor. Did you know that picnics became popular in the 19th century as a way to enjoy nature and invented their own whimsical games? Families cherished picnics, often interrupted by curious ants. Kite flying dates back over 2,000 years to ancient China. They flew kites that danced in the park's breeze, sometimes getting hilariously tangled in trees. Heartfelt conversations were the glue that held families together, and spent countless hours in heartfelt conversations with the occasional funny story. Did you know that reading together can improve a child's literacy and emotional bonding? There wasn't the relentless bombardment of technology and information, just the occasional sibling squabble over a book. Walking in nature has been shown to reduce stress and improve mood. People were truly present, savoring life's simple pleasures and sharing a good laugh. Movie nights at home became popular in the 1950s with the advent of television. A trip to the cinema was a magical treat, complete with popcorn fights. Did you know that popcorn became a popular movie snack during the Great Depression? It was a shared adventure that etched lasting memories and plenty of giggles. Why are there not more people talking about the magic of the radio era? The radio was a magical portal to the world beyond, and sometimes a source of hilarious misunderstandings. Did you know the first radio commercial aired in 1922 promoting an apartment complex? Families huddled together, eagerly tuning in to news, dramas and comedies. Remember the time Grandpa thought the alien invasion was real? That was thanks to Orson Welles' War of the Worlds broadcast in 1938. It was a communal experience, igniting conversations and fueling imaginations, and sometimes sparking debates over who ate the last cookie. Fun fact, the first crossword puzzle appeared in a newspaper in 1913. Daily newspapers bridged the gap to the wider world, while weekends held a special charm, like Dad's infamous attempts at cooking breakfast. Did you know the concept of the weekend as we know it was popularized in the early 20th century? Sundays were reserved for church and family feasts, a time to unwind and reconnect, and to dodge Aunt Edna's cheek pinches. Interestingly, Sunday dinners became a tradition in many cultures as a way to bring families together. Donning their finest attire, people showed respect for the day's significance, even if it meant wearing those itchy woolen suits. Did you know wool was one of the most common fabrics used for formal wear in the early 20th century? These cherished traditions wove a tapestry of structure and continuity, and a few good laughs along the way. And let's not forget, these moments were often captured in black and white photos, preserving memories for generations. You need to hear this if you're a lover of nostalgia. Time stood still. Life moved at a gentler rhythm, like a slow dance at a wedding. Did you know that in the 1950s, the average work week was about 40 hours, giving people more leisure time? There was space to ponder and sometimes to forget why you walked into a room. Fun fact, the concept of me time became popular in the 1960s as people sought personal fulfillment, to dream and simply to exist like a cat basking in the sun. Did you know that daydreaming can boost creativity and problem-solving skills? People weren't perpetually rushing from one task to another, unless it was to catch the ice cream truck. Interestingly, the ice cream truck jingle was first used in the 1920s. They savored the little moments, the changing seasons, the melody of birds, and the joy of finding a matching sock. Conversations held depth, letters were handwritten, each one a cherished keepsake, often with doodles in the margins. Did you know that the first postage stamp was introduced in 1840? Relationships were cultivated, built on trust and shared moments, like the time you both laughed until you cried. Laughter has been shown to strengthen relationships and improve health. There was an authenticity to interactions, and the occasional awkward handshake. Did you know that the handshake dates back to ancient Greece as a symbol of peace, a refreshing absence of pretense, and plenty of good-natured teasing? Fun fact, laughter can burn calories and improve your mood. I bet you didn't know the true value of a penny for your thoughts. This timeless phrase, inviting someone to share their innermost reflections, has roots that stretch back centuries. It conjures an era when even the smallest coin held immense value, and people were more inclined to ponder deeply about their lives and surroundings. Did you know that in the 1800s, a penny could buy a newspaper or even a meal? Picture a world where a single penny could buy a loaf of bread or a handful of candy. It was a different time, one where every cent counted and every thought was treasured. Imagine trying to buy a loaf of bread with a penny today. Good luck with that. Life back then wasn't all idyllic. The streets were often crowded, bustling with activity as people went about their daily lives. Children, who today would be in school, were often found working long hours to help support their families. Did you know that child labor laws weren't strictly enforced until the early 20th century? Families lived in modest homes, making do with what little they had. The sense of community was strong, but so were the challenges they faced. And let's be honest, those crowded streets were probably the original rush hour traffic jams. Life was harder in many ways. Labourers toiled from dawn till dusk, their hands calloused and their bodies weary. Families often worked together, whether in fields or small workshops, to make ends meet. The work was grueling and the rewards were few, but there was a sense of pride in their labour, a belief that hard work would eventually pay off. Did you know that the average workday for a labourer was 14 hours? And hey, at least they didn't have to deal with endless email chains and Zoom meetings. Poverty, illness and hardship were ever present. Soup lines were a common sight as many struggled to put food on the table. Illnesses that are easily treatable today often led to prolonged suffering or even death. Did you know that antibiotics weren't widely available until the 1940s? Living conditions were far from ideal, with many families crammed into small, poorly ventilated spaces. Yet, despite these adversities, people found ways to persevere. And let's not forget, they didn't have the luxury of binge-watching their favorite shows to escape reality. Opportunities were limited for some, and prejudices ran deep. Segregated facilities were a stark reminder of the social divides that existed. Many faced discrimination based on their race, gender, or social status, limiting their opportunities for advancement. Did you know that the Civil Rights Act, which aimed to end segregation, wasn't passed until 1964? The fight for equality was an uphill battle, one that required immense courage and resilience. And let's face it, some of those uphill battles were probably literal given the lack of modern transportation, but there was also a resilience, a spirit of community that helped people through difficult times. Neighbours looked out for one another, offering a helping hand when needed. Community gatherings were common, providing a sense of belonging and support. Did you know that many communities had mutual aid societies to help each other out? People worked together, pooling their resources and skills to overcome the challenges they faced. And let's not forget the original social network, actual face-to-face conversations. People made do with what they had. Clothes were mended and passed down through generations. Broken items were repaired rather than discarded. There was a culture of thriftiness and resourcefulness, born out of necessity but carried with pride. Did you know that the concept of make do and mend was popularized during World War II? Every item had value and waste was not an option. Imagine trying to explain fast fashion to them. They'd probably think you're talking about a new kind of horse race. They were resourceful and inventive. When faced with a problem, they found creative solutions. Homemade tools and makeshift repairs were common, showcasing their ingenuity. Did you know that many of these homemade tools were passed down through generations? This spirit of innovation was not just about survival, it was about making life a little bit better, a little bit easier, with the limited resources they had. And let's be honest, some of those homemade tools probably looked like something out of a steampunk novel. They understood the value of hard work and appreciated the things they had. Meals were simple but cherished, often shared with family and friends. Homes, though modest, were kept with care and pride. Did you know that many families grew their own food to save money? There was a deep appreciation for the small joys in life, a gratitude for what they had, no matter how little it seemed. And let's not forget, they didn't have to deal with the stress of choosing from 100 different takeout options. There was a simplicity to their lives, a clarity that is often missing today. In a world that moves at a relentless pace, it's easy to forget the value of slowing down, of appreciating the moment. Their lives, though filled with hardship, were also filled with moments of peace and contentment. Did you know that many people didn't have electricity until the mid-20th century? They remind us that sometimes the simplest things are the most meaningful. And who knows, maybe they had the right idea all along: less screen time, more face time. Why are there not more people talking about how fast life has become? The world accelerates. Today, life is a whirlwind. Remember when waiting for dial-up internet was the most stressful part of your day? Did you know that the first commercial dial-up service was launched in 1989? Technology has revolutionized our existence, reshaping how we live, work, and connect. Now, we panic if a web page takes more than 3 seconds to load. Fun fact, the average human attention span has dropped to just 8 seconds, shorter than that of a goldfish. The tempo of life is relentless, more demanding than ever. It's like we're all in a never-ending race to nowhere. Did you know that the concept of hustle culture became popular in the early 2000s? We are inundated with information, connected around the clock, yet often feel isolated. Who knew that having 500 friends on social media could still make you feel lonely? Interestingly, studies show that excessive social media use can lead to increased feelings of loneliness and depression. Progress has brought countless benefits, but it's easy to feel adrift in the chaos. Sometimes you just want to throw your smartphone out the window and go live in a cabin in the woods. Did you know that the digital detox trend has been gaining popularity as people seek to disconnect from technology? We yearn for simplicity, a sense of community, and the unhurried pace of days gone by. Ah, the good old days when the only thing you had to worry about was rewinding your VHS tapes. Fun fact, the last major Hollywood film released on VHS was A History of Violence in 2006. I bet you didn't know how much wisdom the past holds. A different time, a timeless message. The past is a treasure trove of wisdom, waiting to be uncovered. Each tick of the vintage clock, each frame of the old film reel, and every black and white image from the 1950s tells a story. Did you know that the first colour photograph was taken in 1861 by James Clerk Maxwell? These stories are not just relics of a bygone era, they are lessons that transcend time and space. And let's be honest, some of those lessons are about how not to wear bell-bottoms. Looking back at the past can teach us invaluable lessons. In historical classrooms, students learned not just from books, but from each other. Did you know that the first public school in America was established in 1635 in Boston? Retro family photos capture moments of joy, struggle, and togetherness. People reading newspapers in the 1940s were not just consuming information, they were engaging with the world, forming opinions and making decisions that would shape the future. And let's not forget, they were also figuring out how to fold those giant newspapers without poking someone's eye out. These memories remind us of the importance of human connection, the beauty of simplicity, and the joy found in everyday moments. Old friends laughing together, a vintage street market bustling with life, children playing outside in the 1960s. These scenes evoke a sense of community and belonging, often missing in our fast-paced modern lives. Did you know that the concept of playgrounds was introduced in the late 19th century to provide children with a safe place to play? And let's be real, those kids playing outside were probably just trying to avoid doing chores. The value of slowing down cannot be overstated. In the slow-paced countryside life, people found time to enjoy a leisurely picnic, to walk hand in hand, and to savor the simple pleasures of life. Did you know that the tradition of picnicking dates back to the French Revolution? These moments of tranquility and connection are essential for our well-being, yet they are often sacrificed in the hustle and bustle of contemporary living. And let's not forget, those picnics were also a great way to avoid Aunt Edna's cooking. While we can't turn back time, we can incorporate these lessons into our modern lives. A modern person looking at old photographs is not just reminiscing, they are reconnecting with their roots. Did you know that the first photograph ever taken was by Joseph Nicephore Niepce in 1826? Families embracing old traditions are not just preserving the past, they are enriching their present. Blending old and new technology allows us to move forward while honoring where we came from. And let's face it, those old cameras were basically medieval torture devices compared to our smartphones. We can make an effort to connect with our communities, to build relationships that are meaningful and lasting. Community gatherings at a town hall, neighbors chatting over a fence, people working together on a community project. These are the building blocks of a strong, resilient society. Did you know that the concept of town hall meetings dates back to the early colonial period in New England? They remind us that we are not alone, that we are part of something bigger than ourselves. And let's be honest, those town hall meetings were probably just an excuse to gossip about the neighbors, to appreciate the simple things, to find joy in a vintage kitchen scene, in a simple meal, or in children playing with classic toys. Did you know that the first toy ever created was a doll, dating back to ancient Egypt? These moments of simplicity are not just nostalgic, they are a reminder of what truly matters. They teach us to find contentment in the little things, to cherish the present, and to live mindfully. And let's be real, those vintage toys were basically just sticks and rocks, but they did the job. And to make time for what truly matters, family spending time together, a person meditating in nature, people enjoying a sunset, these are the moments that fill our lives with meaning and purpose. Did you know that watching the sunset can actually boost your mood and reduce stress? They remind us to slow down, to breathe, and to appreciate the beauty that surrounds us. And let's not forget, those sunsets were also a great way to avoid doing the dishes. The past may be gone, but its lessons are timeless. Old black and white family photos, historical footage with modern overlay, and time-lapse of changing landscapes from past to present, all these remind us that while times change, the core values of love, connection, and simplicity remain constant. Did you know that the first time-lapse film was created in 1897 by Georges Méliès? They are the threads that weave the fabric of our lives, connecting us to our past and guiding us into the future. And let's be honest, some of those old-timey outfits should definitely stay in the past. And that's how we lived in the good old days.